wonderful publication. Thank you, Ms. Shubha Sanjay Aras. Thank you, Dr. Prathibha K.M. We shall now begin our final panel discussion.
It's final, guys. That's it.
Good evening, Mysuru, and it's been wonderful 2 days here, and this is the closing discussion panel of this beautiful 2-day literature festival that turned 10 this year. Wow. Yeah, it's the 10th Mysuru Literature Festival, and this session, it says Plethora of Roles on Screen, a versatile open book. And today's conversation brings together two remarkable authors whose books, though very different in voice and journey, are deeply connected by question of belonging, home, reinvention, and vulnerability. On one side, we have Kubbra Sait. Those who don't know, she is a Bangalore girl, whose memoir, here is a copy, and it's outside also at the bookstore. So her book, Not a Quiet Memoir, is exactly what the title promises. It's candid, it's fearless, it's layered, and deeply human. Of course, when it's human, it's emotional. There are stories of bullying, there are stories of self-discovery, and emotional landscapes behind public visibility. The book reflects on what it means to constantly reinvent oneself while remaining emotionally honest. And then we have Trish, who has spent her 12 years in India, and she has come to Mysuru this week, like 4 or 5 days ago, and yeah. So her book, Dancing with the Marigold, My 12-Year Journey in India, a memoir that brings with geographical displacement but slowly unfolds into an inward journey. It's a very personal memoir. It's how she sees India from a very different lens. She has not only lived in India just as an expat, but somehow tried to connect with culture, people, belonging, and living with all of us in Chennai and different parts of India also. So both the books are, there's one common theme is like on belonging, on home, searching oneself and reinventing oneself. So, I'll not take much of your time because, it's a very packed session. So we'll start with the first question is on belonging, Kubbra. Like you have lived in different cities, Bangalore, Mumbai, when one reads your book, they not only read your journey or know you, but, they kind of travel through different landscapes also. Bangalore is where you grew up, and then you went to Dubai also, where you worked as a baker also, and then, Bombay, where your dreams finally, you call Bombay your home also. So tell us something like, how do you chose to write this memoir? Why did you choose to write this memoir?
Wow, I think when you start writing your own story and your experiences, I feel like it's about shedding. It's about, all the stories that you've been telling yourself. Every single one of us in this room is just made up of the stories we choose to tell ourselves. And more often than not, we tend to see that story from our perspective alone. But the beauty about perspectives, it's that it's not one, it's many. So I guess for me, the book wrote itself. It was the pandemic. I just was going through an evolution from inside, which was, deeply spiritual. It was disciplined. It was living away from, what I called home, which is Mumbai or anywhere else. I was living in a different country. I had lots of time. And I think the journey started with let me, it was not like, oh, one day I'm going to wake up and write a book. I honestly didn't think I'm going to be writing a book. But when I spoke to the publishers, they were very interesting because they said, oh, don't you write autobiographical stories? I said, yeah, but like those performances are 5 minutes long. They said, just write like 25 of those.
Okay.
And that's how like open book happened for me. And that's when I realized, my God, I have some things to share and to tell. And when you choose to, just look at your story from more than just one perspective of, like, for example, Bangalore for me. For the longest period of time, leaving Bangalore was not me, going towards evolution into a different journey or anything. Leaving Bangalore was escape for me. I didn't want to be in Bangalore anymore, so I escaped from Bangalore. So that was the story I was choosing to tell myself. But then the escape is what brought me so many new perspectives and experiences. And you need to honor your experiences more than anything else, and then just look at, And it's bizarre, but like your stories change. You're not going to be angry and upset with things that happened to you. You realize after a point that things are happening for you.
Yeah.
And that's what really, I think,
That's what
led.
you have mentioned in the book also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote it, every single word. Because this was written before ChatGPT existed. I'm very proud of myself. Like, I wrote every word in this book,
This is a very, very moving book, and yours also. It has kept me 1 month busy. I've been reading your book, keeping one down and picking another. So, yeah.
Trish, I want to take your coffee home.
Okay. So, Trish, to you, for you, she chose to escape, but you were an expat, you were a teacher, you came here for 1 year, it was just a 1 year contract. It just happened 3 years, and you stayed on for 12 years. So tell us about you, your memoir. How difficult was it, you writing this memoir? Why did you choose to write, and what made you stay in India?
That's a lot of questions.
That's a lot of questions. You really sound like big ones.
First of all, I'm honored to be here. And I'd just like to thank Shubha, Sanjay Urs, and the Mysuru Literature Festival, and also the Mysuru Book Club, and the amazing travel team, and all of the people that have made me feel so warm and welcome here. So thank you very much. And as Cooper said, stories and writing, it's not about making money, believe me. It's about sharing, as Cooper said. And so thank you for being here and sharing our stories with you. It means a lot to me, and I'm sure Kubbra as well. So thank you. And so to get back to Tabeenah's question, or one of them, why I wrote my memoir was when I went back to Canada after being here for 12 years, I was actually a changed person. I had come here originally from China. I had worked at the American school in China, and my contract was finished, and I needed a place to go. And in the expat world, in teaching, the world's really your oyster. You can go anywhere and you can apply anywhere. So I had applied, and I got 2 offers, one in Rabat in Morocco and the other one here, actually in Chennai in India. And I had been to Morocco before, and there was and this was 2002, and there was some strife going on there, and I thought, maybe I won't go there being a single person. Oh, and I forgot to mention my 29-year marriage had just ended as well, so I was on my own, and it was the first time that I had to make these decisions by myself. When you have a partner, it's always back and forth, and you can discuss things, but when you're on your own, it's just you. And so the director of the school in Chennai kind of wooed me, and he really wanted me to come, and I thought, well, I know it's a big country. I don't know anything about it. I thought, oh, if I could live in China, I could live in India. And I didn't know anybody here, and all I knew was it was too big of a country to come for a 2-week holiday, and I really wanted to, see it and be here. So I accepted, and it was way more than I thought. After 3 months, I was ready to leave.
Did you always have a nose piercing, or did you do this after you came to India?
India, of course.
Look at you!
That's one of the things that changed. Yeah, so anyway, to make a long story short, 1 year led to another, and another, and another. And I just got deeper and deeper, and my love for India became stronger and stronger. And I got into the local community, and when I came back to Canada, to answer your question, Tabeenah, I wanted people to know what my experience was, because there was this big gap. When you live away and you come back, people don't know what's happened to you, and they don't understand what changes you've gone through and why you've gone through those things. And so that was one of the reasons. And the other was I wanted to make sense of the things that had happened to me, all the experiences that I had gone through. Why did I make those decisions? Why did I want to stay so long? What was it about India that I really felt like home to me? And how could I belong here? How could I have that sense of belonging here? Like, what was it? So it was kind of a cathartic process for me to write down these things and try to explain them to myself and other people.
Wow.
And you've done
Can
this.
I just add
Please,
one thing?
please.
Because Trish, I was actually quite inspired by what you said about how you found like a home away from home, right? And I guess that's what it is. The minute you realize that you've taken journeys not to escape, it may have started like that in the beginning, but when you find a home within yourself and you stop looking for like things on the outside, I guess that's when you're kind of complete to write a memoir. It really takes that journey of like stop running away from things and external stuff, and then you go like, I feel comfortable here, like right now, within me. And this is a pretty cool version of me, but it really takes you to acknowledge that. It takes you to like figure that out. And the second you see it, you can't unsee it. And I feel like, thank you for sharing, because that's what made me realize, that's why I wrote my memoir. Like, I was like, this is what it is.
So Kubbra's book, when you read, you'll know a lot about her. She's an actress, of course, but she's a very doting daughter. You'll meet her mother in the book. You'll meet her cat who passed away, and I really felt sorry as if it was my cat. And then she got one more, a Persian cat. Now she has two. You'll get to know about her brother, her relationships with friends, with family. There's a lot. And you'll get to see Bangalore, Mumbai, and, Dubai, and those huge, tall buildings with a very different perspective. But at the same time, when you were writing this book, there's a lot of, when you wrote the book, your own traumatic experiences, loneliness, and, when you're writing a memoir and you wrote all of them, did it make you revisit those, or it was like, a catharsis, you just wrote it, and it was like, somewhere, journaling and letting it go?
I've actually been in therapy for a very, very long time. And I do thank my therapist in the book because, all this bundled up stories that you have in your head need to be cleared out. And therapy has really helped me to find those answers. They're not like loose threads just hanging around frayed everywhere. And I was able to make sense of everything that was happening for me. And it didn't feel like it was, this happened to make you feel terrible about your life and you're the worst person to have ever lived. But how can you emerge out of the most terrible things that happened to you? And I promise you, there's nobody in this room to whom something terrible has not happened. Look at the number of women in this room. I didn't realize that terrible things happen to women because I never really spoke to women, you know. And when I mean that, I don't mean it like in any other way. I just, you know, felt like, oh, distance, be micro-focused, look at yourself, see what you're doing. And literally just talking about your stories made you realize, boss, I was never alone in this journey. Mean things, hard things were not just happening for me. It's the larger canvas of life. And it's really the alchemy of everything that happens to you that allows you to go out there, tell your story, and then be free of all that weight that you've been carrying on your own back or your shoulders. So I think for me, therapy really, really helped. I was able to see things through different perspectives. My therapist, like no therapist in the world, is going to come there and give you a solution. The solution appears out of the million times you speak of the same problem. And then you go like, dude, I'm paying this person a lot of money. And I have to stop repeating my problems. I have to find a solution. And then you repeat that solution and you go like, wow, I've seen it. Now I don't want to unsee this. And I feel like that's what really happened as a part of it. As I said, I was meditating a lot. I had the incredible opportunity to experience ayahuasca while I was traveling. So I feel like it was that curiosity from within to be like, dude, I don't want to be hanging onto this thread and saying, oh my God, I'm in pain. And my journey is so painful and I'm special because of all these bad things that have happened to me. I'm none of that. I'm just me, and I can be exactly who I want to be by the story I want to tell. And right now I'm in a position where every day I create a new story for me. And that's a place of power. And that's oh wow, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you.
So when you read about her, you read her memoir, you'll go through those experiences, you'll visit a hospital, you'll visit everything, you know, and then, you know, you'll visit her as a resilient person. She comes, you know, after everything that has happened, there is hope, there is resilience, and there's a willpower also. So your, you know, first chapter was, your chapter 6 was like, oh my God, but your chapter 7 was suddenly, you know, it lifts your mood, so yeah.
I feel like you grow, yeah. This is what it is, right? It's not just accounting the number of years on you, but it's accounting for the number of experiences on you. And you can't be too young or too old to have new experiences. So go out there and just have experiences. And I was listening to this great, like, see now my memory is like terrible. Trish,
after
please
COVID,
pardon me.
after
After COVID, everyone's got foggy brains, all right? And I'm sure it's written in this book period as well. As women, we do get foggy with our brains, okay? Once we reach perimenopause, and that's cool. I'm just saying that, you know, I read this amazing thing that all the things that happen to you are stories, and it is your story to tell. So don't shy away from telling your stories. It's not big or it's not small. You are not big or you are not small. It's your story. So please go out there and share it. And you will be surprised how many people you will be able to like affect in a positive manner. My mom's sitting right here. She wrote a book. She was here at the Mysuru Lit Fest last year. And her stories are helping her like navigate through so many lives. So there isn't like an age,
True.
upper limit, lower limit for this. Just go out there and tell your stories. It's lovely.
Now to Trish. Trish, your book moves beyond a postcard image of India. You have lived here, lived through experiences. So tell us more, like, you know, because you say that India kind of changed you. Because when you saw India as an outsider and then living here for 12 years, so what were these few experiences that you want to share, please?
Well, at the beginning, it wasn't easy.
It was for the first time she tried henna on her hands.
What?
Henna, mehendi on her, yeah.
Oh, that was the opening of my book. I had about 5 different openings, and I settled on the mehendi because I wanted to show the connection that I ended up having with women in India. And how tradition plays a part here, and how I felt about that tradition with my experience as well, because it goes back, to Vedic times, painting the hand, and you have this wonderful custom of sharing this, again, another story, with women. And I don't know any other part of the world, and I've traveled quite a bit, that has this unique experience. And it's one to really cherish, I think, because women have this very deep connection to each other, which is very special. And you go to the mehendi and you lay, on the couch, and somebody paints your arm, and the bride is never alone. Somebody is always with them, bringing this and that, and people are around. So it's this very warm sharing of an experience and a story. So I decided to open the book with that, and show that connection I had with other women here, which I still have in Chennai. And there were so many stories that I had, and when you talk about what prompted you to write, all of these images that I had when I went back to Canada were in my head. I had images of flowers. I had, images of, my driver dying. I had images of when I first got here, and it was beautiful. I got picked up, and I was taken to my apartment, and I looked over the beach, and I thought, oh, the first thing I'm going to do in the morning is go for a walk and to see this beautiful beach. And when I got up in the morning, it was full of people squatting on the place where I was going to walk, and I thought, okay, this is different, and everything seemed to take on a life of its own, and I had to navigate through that and find what I could do. And at the beginning, when I said, that I wanted to leave, and things were too difficult, I felt I had to depend on everybody for everything here. I couldn't, walk outside by myself at night. Yeah. And I'm an avid hiker and walker, and I thought, oh, what am I going to do? I can't walk because there were no sidewalks in Chennai, and if you went outside anyway, you would be dripping wet. So I decided, well, this isn't for me. I need independence in my life, and I need to, be in a place where I can get that. And then I found how to live here and how to be happy here and what I needed to do in order to live, not just visit, but actually live here. And it was a journey. And I found transportation was the biggest obstacle to me, getting around and being spontaneous and getting around. Instead of 2003, there weren't Ubers back then. You had to call taxi and wait for them, and then you had to go out on the road to see if they were actually going to come. And by that time, whatever you were wearing and your hair was all wet. So that was the biggest part that I had to figure out. And once I figured that out, I had some independence and I had some transportation. I could get downtown by myself. So I got a car and a driver. And I must say, too, all of my experience are told through my eyes, and I never felt that I was privileged in Canada. My family wasn't that wealthy. We were middle class. We, went on one vacation a year.
Class in Canada.
A middle class?
Do you have middle class in Canada? It's a serious question.
But she mentions in the book, she found herself very elite here, very good salary. She had a cook.
Now
she
so you
had
must be
she
like,
had a
wow,
ticket.
amazing. It's like
she
100
had
bucks to the dollar
she had
or something.
She had a ticket back to Canada. She was like, how her.
Yeah.
I have never heard like, oh, in Canada we have middle class and all that. Only in India we have middle class.
Oh yeah, big middle class. So I all of these things, the privilege of having this really hit home to me, and I won't take it for granted. It's something that actually colors my writing about India and my experience. It's the only one that I have, so I did write that. Yeah.
And there are two of the characters from their books, because I read those and now I got a chance to meet them. Her friend, one of the characters, she's just sitting right here. She's come on the way, all the way from Singapore. And Kubbra's mother is also here, so you know how...
Characters.
Yeah.
Yes. If you do read the book, there's Sahana, who is one of the characters in the book.
I met her in the day, and yeah.
Sitting in
I
the front
figured
row
out.
here. And she was a friend that lived with me for my first year. And she's from Coorg. And we became very close. She introduced me to a lot of her friends in Chennai. And
To book clubs also, to cultural programs also.
she was in theater, she was sailing, she had family there. So I was so fortunate to get into the local community very quickly. And I didn't want to remain in an expat bubble, which many expats can do because it's easy. And so I'm very grateful to be able to have that experience, and so I think that was why I could stay so long, because I felt I was living here and had the connection to India. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
So for Kubbra, people assume they know you through your roles. You're a Bollywood actress, so especially after Sacred Games, you mentioned that how people reached out to you, to just check if you're a transgender or not. I mean, if you're queer or not. But you have in your memoir, kind of, you have, it also pushes beyond glamorous perceptions of film industry in India. Tell us more about it, your journey.
I've been really fortunate because, so there was this little girl who grew up in Bangalore. And I don't know why, but I think in my head, I was pretty sure that one day I want to go to Mumbai and I want to be on television. My biggest aim or my biggest goal in life was that one day I will be like maybe a VJ on TV or maybe like a dance reality TV show host. That was like the upper limit of my dreams, and I thought that was pretty big.
That's how you started also. You hosted...
I started hosting. I was hosting like live shows and stuff like that. And you won't believe it. I don't think I've written this in the book, but I actually made it to roadies also. I cleared one test of roadies also in Bangalore. I came and I told my mother very excitedly. I said, Mama, I've made it. They've made me in the finals. I'm the finalist of roadies from Bangalore. She said, roadies kare to road poch rajao, she said. Which means if you want to do roadies, you stay on the road only. I said, oh, that means there is no future in this. But what I'm saying is that my mom ensured that I completed my education. And when I did, she was...
And you were switching colleges, yeah?
Left, right, and center.
You joined journalism, but good that you did not do. Then you switched.
Look what is happening with journalism today. So how do you feel, Tabs?
I really want to go to Bombay and follow your footsteps.
So I don't know why. I wanted to not work in Bangalore. That I didn't want to work in India. There was something in my brain, right? So I told my mom, I said, if you're going to make me work, and if you want me to pursue a career with my degree, then it has to be out of this country. And she was so kind that she actually found friends who knew friends. Like, at that time, getting a visa to go to the UAE was easily one of the hardest things you could do. And there was a visa that was waiting for her to travel. And she said, what am I going to take this visa and do? Let me see if they can give it to you because you have a future. You should travel with this visa. And that's how she, transferred her visa and made it put my papers in there, and then she sent me to Dubai. So I feel like I had a sense of self. Like, I had worked at Microsoft, I had worked I changed a lot of jobs even in Dubai. It's like this last great story that you tell yourself, no, I worked at Microsoft. I did. I worked for 3 years there. But like one of those ways, like, oh wow, what a crescendo, and then you left it there. Great, so I did that. But I think what happened over there was like earning a sense of self. I learned an open door policy. I could just walk into offices and speak to the CEOs. I could speak to CMOs. I could talk to them, right? So there was a deep sense of me. And when I chose to come to Mumbai, where I knew not a single soul at that point, all I knew was me. So I felt like reaching out to people through Facebook, BB pins and things like that, became like the norm of finding work. It was through creating your own channel and networks. And today, promise to God, people go everybody, and I will say yes. In Mumbai, such a big city, and I honestly think I know a lot of people there. But I feel like, through the horror stories that you learn, I think what was not in my dictionary was I knew I want to be famous. I knew I wanted to do something amazing. But I had a very deep sense of self. And I knew I'm going to achieve everything without compromising on my inner self. So I was always trying to find different ways to get the same job done. So when I picked hosting, I said I will be the best host. While I was trying to be the best host, I was doing auditions for ads and films, and we didn't have OTT at that point. But when I would audition, I would want to be the best in that audition. Then when I would get a film, I've actually had some really amazing moments in my life which came to me by choice. I went to one random place, and at that random place, they said, no, go to another random place. And at that other random place, they're casting for a film called Ready. And honest to God, when that film was sold to me, as an idea, not sold to me, I'm not that big also, but when the idea was sold to me, they said, you're parallel lead. And I was literally the maid in the film. I had no lines. When I met Salman Khan, he said, oh wow, let's give her some lines, maybe haan bhaiya, na bhaiya, okay, but Pathak, petrol shitting. I got all of that. And I promised to God, my mom is here, I knew that I'm going to make a PR exercise of this. And I did, because I used to work for marketing in Microsoft. My mom has been one of the greatest marketeers because she used to have supermarkets. She would be put the most expensive thing in the front. It will be picked. People will buy. I'm telling you, basic life knowledge, putting yourself out there. Of course, good things happen, bad things happen, but there is nothing called good and bad because you're the only one labeling it, right? But through the process of trial and error and auditions and this and that, I'm not kidding you. When I was auditioning for Sacred Games, Anurag Kashyap called me and he asked me, "To तूने पहले क्या किया है?" I said, "आपने मेरा show नहीं देखा है? मैंने going viral किया है." He's like, "वो क्या है?" I said, जाके record में देख." But no, honestly, the kind of confidence that I had in speaking about the work that I did, for me there was nothing small, nothing big. For me, everything that I did was an important step towards the next step. And I feel those little steps is what made Sacred.
I just want to piggyback on what you said,
And I can-
Kubbra, because, Kubra's made a really good point, and it's, she's much more confident than I am. But I think the common thread is we both have put ourselves in uncomfortable situations and out of our comfort zone and just gone for it and tried to persevere in that realm, whatever it is. So I think that resilience that you had in whatever you're doing kind of goes through, and it makes you feel stronger that, you know, one thing leads to another and you can do this and you can do that. So yeah, very excellent, Kubbra.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing, because this is what I call as confirmation bias, right? You do something good, you're like, wow, I like doing more of this. You overcome one obstacle and then you overcome another obstacle and another one, and even that is confirmation bias. You don't grow in comfort, you actually grow in discomfort. But we're so afraid of inviting discomfort. We are so, we're afraid of crossing that. Cross that bridge, boss. It's correct. The pot of gold is at the end of the rainbow only. You need to go through that. And please do. I encourage everybody in this room to go through the most discomforting thing, because beyond that is where you will find the pot of gold.
And growth.
And growth. But I had this one question, you know, while you were speaking about Chennai and everything. Sorry if I don't. But like, you know, even today we have a common conversation about India, safety, women. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, that was a big one for me. You know, I felt because I was white and single, I wouldn't take an auto, especially at night, to go out, let alone come home. So I needed to have, you know, somebody pick me up, or, you know, a lift all the time. And, you know, I would be careful. I would be very careful walking on the beach. You know, I would sit down on the sand sometimes, and I'd have, you know, a crowd of men around me. And, you know, at first I was afraid. I didn't know quite how to read this and what the intentions were. But then I just felt, oh, they're just curious, you know, and, you know, they just want to chat. And so I eased into it for sure. It wasn't easy, but I'm still careful for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so for Trish, you know, some part of your book must be very hard to write. I mean, you know, and some are very joyful also. So how do you kind of manage humor and vulnerability in the form of storytelling while you're writing a memoir?
Yeah, I consciously thought about that because I do have a chapter with my dear driver who died, and it was quite a painful process to go and see him out on the street and be with the family, something that I felt I needed to do. And so I did kind of balance that with chapters that were very uplifting and joyful, and some relationships that I had, and my daughter coming to visit, and, you know, how, you know, prepared for her. And yeah, so it was a conscious decision to have that up and down in the book, for sure.
And when we talk about memoirs, we sometimes think that, you know, people are often selective about it, you know, selective memory, what to write and what not to write. And your book is, since I've read it, I don't think you were selective, or you purposely left anything,
No,
or
I think
you
I
wanted
was downloading
or
things
you wanted
like
to
some
hide
old-
anything.
yeah.
You never thought how people will judge you and what are you going to write. So, but it says open book, not a quiet memoir. So tell us, you know, why did you name it open book, not a quiet memoir? And how selective were you, if at all?
I have no idea, but I feel like I've always said, like, just be an open book and just talk about it and get it out of your system. It's actually the easiest thing you can do. And I really like that, like the fact that there was no book called The Open Book. And I was like, wow,
So you
This
kind
is
of
mine then.
you kind of
I'll
googled
take
about it. Okay, like is there a book called Open Book before?
Like honestly, I think Agassi's Andre Agassi's autobiography is called Open,
Open.
and I thought I was a little inspired by Open, and then I think there's another actress here who's
Okay.
also got an open book.
Okay.
But and literally, when you like look a little harder, then there are like 2 open books. But in India, we are the only ones. So
Okay.
I'm happy. India, very big continent, subcontinent. One person.
How did you manage? Like you used to write every day, or what was your writing process? Because so many of people here who would like to write memoir, or you have. What was
First
your
of all,
process?
write. How you should write, why you should write, when you should write, should I light candle, should I do meditation? 10 minutes we have left. So take all the information right now. So I'm just saying that, no, just write. Like there were times when I would think of something and I would just like dream about it. And I would dream hard about it, wake up and just write. Like, I don't know what your process was, I'm actually curious. But I would just write a lot. And then I'd be so happy because I'm like, wow, the target was to write like 1,000 words a day. Today I wrote 4.
Oh wow.
And then I don't have to write for the next 3 days. And then, of course, having a good editor helps.
Okay.
Because my editor was the one who would like piece the pieces going from one place to the other and then be like, this is pretty flaky here. Can you give us more on this? And this is too intense. Let's break this up into 3 or 4. So I'm extremely grateful to my editor who did such a wonderful job of piecing my ideas. Of late, I've started speaking very confidently and with ownership about recognizing that, boss, I have ADHD. Very important, you can see that in the book, by the way, because it actually jumps. It goes from one thing to the other. And when recognized, and when I don't know, for me, when I went to my therapist and said, listen, I want to know if I have ADHD, she said, I've been talking to you for 4 years, you really think I need to test you, is it? Of course you have ADHD, but calm down. You don't need to know if you're 3 on the scale or 7 on the scale. You're managing your ADHD really well, and one should. And now when we read about it, or Instagram it, there's enough about it on Instagram as well, you understand that it was nothing but a survival mechanism, right? So I just feel like the stories jump, but there was an openness to not hold back on anything. I was not trying to clean my image through this book. I thought I have a pretty decent image of myself. I was not judging my acts, my past, my present, or my future. And I promise you, I don't give anyone that liberty to judge me either. If you got a judgment, that's your problem, boss, not mine. But I am very clear that I don't judge me. And I'm very happy to go ahead and repair my mistakes, learn from my mistakes, grow from them. But that's my journey. Why should I give you the power? Why should I give anyone the power in the world? I mean, you, not just you, okay, please. Like just in general, why should I give anyone else the power to tell me this is how the story needs to be told, or say it in another way, or why did you say? Ask my mom, she's right here. The chapter on abortion,
Yeah.
the first sentence in that chapter is like, I asked my mother, should I write about it? She said no. And I told her, Ma, I'm over it, and I think I need to write about it. And I asked her, she said no, and then I wrote it. But my mom was always the person who said, tell me first. I don't want to know from other people. Tell me first. And she's the first person who called me after reading the book and said, have you healed? I think we did well, yeah. We did well. Now move on, make new stories, live new experiences. That should be the goal.
Very 2 quick questions before we open for audience. Your cover is very pleasant and dancing with the marigold. So how did you select the title, Dancing with the Marigold, and this pleasant cover? Was it your idea, the cover, or you tell us?
Yeah, it was. So I know the significance, or I've learned the significance of marigolds in India. I love flowers, so that was marigolds are used in all sorts of ceremonies and events and marriages and funerals. So for me, it kind of epitomized my time in India, all the different things that I had gone through. And dancing, I mean, not only do I love to dance, but for me, dancing transports the body and the mind into a place where you just are, and you lose yourself in the whole. And there's something greater that happens when you're dancing. And I learned how to dance in India. I mean, I could do a little bit of dancing at home, some waltzes and maybe some jives, but not the Indian way, right? So, flailing my arms and shaking my boobs and, getting my hips going was a release. It was a liberty. It was a freedom. And so that's why I chose dancing with the marigolds.
So when you write a memoir like this, I mean, you put your heart, energy, effort, and you revisit and you recollect memories, and sometimes maybe again walk past through many incidents. What was that thing you discovered about yourself, and then you yourself? You must have discovered something.
That's a pretty deep question. Yeah, this book has, writing the book, as Kubbra says, it's a time when you look inside and know where you have come from and where you have gone, especially with writing a memoir. And when I look back and see the person that I was when I first came to India, I was confused. I was unsure of myself. I didn't know myself outside of a role of a mother, a wife, and who else I was. I didn't know who I was. And I found that when I came here, I found I had to, India forced me to look at my beliefs and my values and what I really ultimately valued in my life. And actually, ironically, that's what took me home. So family took me back. So, yeah.
What did you discover about yourself? Something you hadn't discovered before.
See, I want to say something really profound right now, but I'm just going to say I realized I'm goddamn cool.
Yay!
Really, it takes a lot of courage to just take on life by the horns and wrestle it through. We're all matadors at the end of the day. No one has it easy. Who said it's going to be easy? Who said that change or growth is going to be easy? We just assumed it's going to be easy. But when you make it through and you realize that you made it through, you better pat your own back. Stop expecting other people. Stop expecting other people to come back and be like, oh, you did well, and only if someone else told me I did well, did I do well. It's like wo jungle mein mor nacha kisne dekha types, Tum mor hai. Tumko kya farak padta hai kaun dekha? Just be yourself and have a great experience of just living this life. And there will be ups, there will be downs. Just rejoice every moment. And when you're not able to recognize the joy, just sit down and breathe through it. It's true when they say कि अगर end में सब कुछ ठीक नहीं हुआ तो picture अभी बाकी है मेरे दोस्त. Right? So I think that's what made me realize.
We'll open the floor for audience. Please raise your hands if you have any questions, please. Questions for Trish and Kubbra. Any questions? Okay. We have 2 minutes, and If you want to ask them questions outside also, they'll be available for book signings. Maybe you can have one-on-one conversation there. So we are heading out for the book signings outside. And thank you. This has been wonderful. You know, this was the 10th edition of Mysuru Literature Festival, and 2 beautiful days, a chance to meet so many brilliant authors here, some budding authors. Mysuru is lovely. A big thank you to Shubha, to Sanjay, the whole team of Mysuru Literature Festival, the travel desk, the volunteers, every person who is a part of the team. Thank you so much, and we all wish you huge success. You want to say something, because this is the last session.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, Trish, you were so wonderful. How wonderfully, calm, composed you were, and you, thanked everybody, before your first answer. I just went, deep into it straight away. But I am extremely honored to be a part of the Mysuru Literature Festival. It's just another festival for me, because this is my maternal home. It's my mom's maternal home. So it's my home. So it's really good to come back, revisit your stories in your home. And I appreciate Shubha and the entire team who's put this entire festival together. It's no ordinary feat to keep a vision and an idea alive and thriving for 10 years. It takes you 10 years to excel at anything, and I feel like this is just the beginning for Mysuru Lit Fest. Imagine 9 years ago it was like Mysore Lit Fest. Yeah. It's changed. So just understand one thing, that change is the constant. And I hope to see you all outside, and we will talk soon. Thank you, everybody.
I-